Hi, welcome to Happiness Hints. I'm Tahlia Newland and today I'm talking to Geoff Beatson, who is a counsellor and psychotherapist from the Southern Highlands in New South Wales, Australia. So Geoffrey, first of all, tell me a little bit about what you do.
So I'm training to be a counsellor and psychotherapist. I'm not practicing yet. Before that, I was a TAFE teacher, teaching people to work with people with disabilities. And what I was really teaching them was about how to support people to make a better life for themselves. That's an issue for people with disabilities. So it was getting close to happiness. We didn't talk about happiness much, but the essence of what we were doing there is if you lose your legs, for example, then it's pretty horrible.
Yes.
And you've got to come to some sense of well-being, is a word I used to use a lot. Happiness is part of that. And so it was how to support people to make a move from a crap situation to a situation where there's some hope. I love doing that sort of work.
And Geoffrey has a long history of working, haven't you, with people in various different capacities. You've taught workshops and various different things for a long time.
Yes.
So he's been helping people to have a sense of well-being or happiness for a long time.
My wife and I used to teach workshops for couples mainly on intimacy, and it's in a way it's bigger than happiness.
Happiness for Happiness Hints is a very broad term, and often when I'm talking to people, the happiness that we're talking about is really more an inner peace and contentment. It's not the excitement happiness. We're talking more about living a life where you just have an even kind of level of well-being, inner peace, contentment.
But underpinning that, there's that's at one level, and at another level, you were talking about presence a minute ago, and certainly that's been my life's journey, is to foster my ability to be present when I'm with myself, but also with people, particularly with people. And that's why I'm training to be a psychotherapist, because I love that meeting that can happen when it's lovely.
When you are present with people.
When you're present with people. And so I think that I thought about what I wanted to communicate here today, but for me, presence is probably the essence of it. It sometimes presence is bigger than happiness. It's just sheer delight and joy and wonder, and so you go, oh, far out.
So we're already at your happiness hint here, are we?
Sorry?
This is your happiness hint, is it, to be present?
Yes, it is. It is my happiness hint.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. To be present.
Yeah. Now, my way of getting to presence was through meditation and being around other people who are present. But I think there's lots of ways to be present. Part of being present is to look for more meaning and value in my life. And in that process, whether I actually find anything of more meaning and value is not so much the point, it's the process of actually looking for it. And that's why I'm here on your show, is because I support people to look for it. That's my I'm getting there. That's my happiness. That's my happiness hint.
Right.
Is to go for it. Is to look for it. It's not like I'm going to be happy all the time, because that gets brittle. It can get brittle. But it's just to go for that, and whatever that you aspire to, in fact, is to go for it, be it presence, be it meditation, be it happiness, and the going for it, I think, helps. It's not. It's the going for it is as important as the result. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know. Well, it's like what we often talk about with people in the happiness sense, particularly when it comes to happiness hurdles, is that having this equanimity, if you like, being able to have this inner peace and contentment doesn't mean that you don't have ups and downs. It doesn't mean that you don't have emotions. It means that you can handle whatever arises in you in a way that it doesn't swamp you. So you can be angry, but you take your anger with a sense of humour. Sometimes. You take it with a lightness. Well, you see it. You see it for what it is, and you don't let it completely swamp you. Because once you're swamped by it, then you've lost your centre. You've lost your. You lose everything.
I do, but I still do that. I lose my centre. And I go into reaction and that sort of thing. That's just where I'm up to.
Well, we're not. That's right. We are where we are. Well, that brings us to your happiness hurdle then.
My happiness hurdle. First would be my inner critic.
Yes.
The voice in me that says, you're over the top,
Yep.
Jeffrey.
Yep.
Or you're doing too much, Jeffrey, or you're waving your hands too much, Jeffrey.
It's like, who do you think you are to do something like happiness? And it's, wow, seriously, lady, I have to shut up, man.
But I don't take the inner critic nearly so seriously anymore. I'm 68 years old.
You've worked with it for a bit.
No, I don't give a shit. I really don't care anymore. I don't have enough life left to stuff around with that sort of side, that holding back, that of inner critics. The other hurdle would be, I think I'm really quite a very happy person.
I think you are too. That's why I invited you on the show.
Is anxiety.
Yes.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I've been travelling to Sydney for the last year doing my psychotherapy course, and just even the travelling, sometimes I get anxious. And it takes me away from presence. And I get into my, what if this goes wrong, or how am I going to deal with this? And so I'm learning to manage it. And so when I go to Sydney mostly every week for a couple of nights, and I get myself very organised, and so I'm managing my anxiety. I know what I'm going to do, and I've got a little plan in my head, and it doesn't get me so much.
Right. So you're doing it in a very practical way.
Very grounded, very tethering my camel way of, no, get this organised and don't get there 5 minutes before the train, don't leave the train till the 2 minutes before, that sort of stuff.
So you don't have anything to be anxious about.
Yes. Yes. Well, yes. And sometimes it's not actually connected with the reality, that anxiety. It's often not. It's just what might go wrong.
Well, anxiety is always a projection. It's always about what might happen. Anxiety is always a projection for the future. It's always a concern about what might happen.
But
So
sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does. But if you're here, present now, anxiety has no role in that, because anxiety is a projection of your mind into the future.
I'm with you.
It's not at all real.
When I get off the train and I go, oh shit, and I'm late, it's still there. However, but all this stuff, I'm getting better at, as you said, separating from it some, and coming back to presence and just being there, and then I'm very available to be to see what's there. There's a quote I've been living. This is another happiness hint, I guess. Is a quote I saw a couple of years ago from a woman, and she said, "If you're not in awe, you're not paying attention."
That's lovely.
And that's my reality. If I'm there, I'm paying attention, then I am.
Everything is pretty awe-inspiring.
It's awe-inspiring.
It is. It's
especially
true.
People. And even when I was teaching at TAFE with all sorts of people, often I'd come to see them in an awesome. I'd see their awesomeness. And that's why I love teaching.
I know exactly what you mean.
And that's delightful to see that, because often they don't see that themselves. I guess that's why I'm working to be a psychotherapist, is helping them to find we do have awesomeness.
I don't know, and I think Western people have difficulty sometimes seeing the awesomeness in themselves. And so we come from this sort of sense of poverty. And when the Dalai Lama first came to the West, and one of his aides said something to him about self-hate, which is so prevalent in the West, his whole couldn't understand it. He could simply not understand it. It was a completely new concept for him. Completely new concept. It's like, how can you hate yourself? It's like... Because of course the Buddhists, touch their Buddha nature, which is whole and good, and that's the sense of where what you really are and where you always come from. It's always good. That's So, and then you come into a Christian society where there's this original sin idea, and people can go through life feeling like they're basically damaged. It's a huge difference. So for some of us to find that awesomeness in ourselves is quite a journey.
Yes, it's a delightful journey, actually.
It is. It's what life's all about, isn't it? That journey to find who you really are.
I'm not sure if there's an answer, but for me it's the exploring. Delightful, isn't it?
So I want to come back to your hurdle again, because the interesting thing about hurdles is, of course, is how we work with them. So you mentioned a very practical way that you work with them, but say you've done all of that, it's all in place, and as you say, you get off the train and then you go, what do you do then? How do you work with that anxiety then when it's just rising in you in the moment?
I've travelled a lot. and I've been in all sorts of stressful situations, and I've survived them all.
Yes.
And so it's more experience and knowing, okay, I get present, and okay, what's the next step? So the light rail's cancelled. That's the way I get to uni. Okay, what do I do now? And I take some breathing, and I'm with myself, and I come back. Okay, I get a taxi. It's easy, simple. Or I get on my phone and I ring up my wife and go, help.
So it's nice to have someone else.
Or I bleat at her, or things like that, And so I acknowledge my side, and actually putting it out there, and then I can put the phone down, and she'll say, "Oh yes, darling, you'll be all right," sort of thing, and I trot off, but it's the process. It's not what she says; it's the process of me acknowledging that side of myself.
Yes, that's right.
And then that enables me to move forward.
And I sense you do that in a very loving way too. So it's like, it's like you're not only acknowledging your anxiety, you're doing it with a sense of it's okay, it's fine. It's fine to be anxious. It's no problem. And. I mean, the way I look at it is like anxiety doesn't even stop your happiness, in terms of this broad picture of happiness that we have, so long as you can deal with it in such a way,
Or I think that's the other thing I'm beginning to learn is letting go, and it's something I wanted to talk about with you. It is certainly, I've read a lot and listened to a lot of a guy called Ram Dass, who be here now. Yes. And he's written a lot about conscious aging and about getting older and the pathway involved and the work. The self-development work you can do as part of growing old, And so an example is I can be in the garden 2 or 3 hours an hour, and if I don't come in, I kill myself. I'm stuffed.
Yes. I know.
And so I've learned to let go of that.
Your desire to
do what I want to do, and my strength that I'm not so strong as I used to be. And I've let go of that. I really have. And it's not a problem anymore. It was more of a problem 20 years ago, and I'd kill myself anyway. And now I don't. And so I can go through the rest of the day with some quality instead of being bugged out.
Instead of ending up flat on your back going, why did I do so much?
So for me, that's the process of growing old gracefully, I guess, is to... ultimately we're going to have to let go of the lot. And I
let go of life completely.
With all our abilities and all our skills and all our identity, and you maybe lose your taste, and your wife dies, and still keeping some. I'd love to die gracefully. I'd really love to die gracefully.
Well, it talked about possibilities for growth.
And it's going to happen.
And I mean, from a Buddhist perspective, your death is your ultimate moment. It's like your whole life is your preparation for death. And I think if you do prepare for death and you accept the fact that you're going to die, and you've thought about it and you're working towards it, and you know that at that moment you have to let go, then you're going to be in a pretty good space, for doing so, because you've already... I'm
practicing. Literally, I'm practicing. I am. And for me, that's my practice is letting go. So it's what I'm doing so often is I'm much more present to letting go in my day-to-day life. So I've got some notes outside, and I decided I won't bring them in. I don't need my notes. It would interrupt me being present.
Some time ago, I remember somebody saying to me about something or other. That I had to let go. I had to learn to let go. And I remember going, well, how do I learn to let go? It's like, how do you actually learn that? But I now realise that that's what the practice of meditation is. You sit there and you are actually practicing letting go, because whatever rises, you just sit and you watch it and you let it go. That's exactly what you try
to let it go. Or you don't let it go, and you just realise how horrible it is if you don't let it go. It's just agony.
You get caught up in it, and then once you realise you're caught up in it, then you let go and you come back to whatever. Coming back to whatever you're focusing on gives you sort of like the technique, I suppose, to help you to let go. So like for you,
but that was very painful for me when I've been meditating. For Vipassana and things like that, I spent a long time not letting go.
I know.
And I really saw the suffering I created for myself in doing so.
People can meditate without letting go, but for me, that's the whole point of it.
It is. I agree. I agree.
And I see with you, when you say that the anxiety rises and you come back to presence, then that is that is what you're learning in a simple meditation, is to come back to something.
Yes, it is.
And so you're coming back
Yes, it is.
to presence.
It's the best training.
Yeah.
For actually anything, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly being a teacher or a psychotherapist or
or just a happy person.
Or a happy person, yes. Yeah. And again, the Dalai Lama is such an example.
Yes,
Yeah,
isn't it?
nice, yeah.
So, happiness hero. Do you have a happiness hero you'd like to talk about?
Yes, I thought about that one, and it's my wife, Satya.
Lovely.
Yeah. When Satya is happy, she is really happy. She is totally happy. She is... I wish I had some of her exuberance and spirit and creativity, and she flies.
And joy.
Yes,
There's a lot of joy in that.
She just flies.
Yes,
She just flies.
And it's inspiring.
And craziness and stupid. It's delightful to be around. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great.
Okay. Yeah.
I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank
too,
you so
Tahlia.
much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
As you see from my conversation with Geoff, meditation is pretty important for learning the skills you need to manage your mind to make you happy. So, to help you make meditation a part of your life, I have a free guided meditation that you can download from tahlianewland.com/guided-meditation. And also, my book, How to Meditate Easily, Effectively and Deeply, is now available on paperback, ebook and audiobook. It's a great little book with all the essential points for meditation. So if you want to meditate easily, effectively and deeply, pick up this book now from tahlianewland.com. Also in the bookshop there, you will find my award-winning fiction. Yep, I write real magic, stories with the power to transform. A little light reading can be very enlightening. And if you enjoyed this episode of Happiness Hints, don't forget to subscribe to the show now. And if you're subscribing on YouTube, please click the little bell icon to make sure that you get notifications of new videos. That's all for today. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time. Bye.